Some stories echo in the wind long after the voices have gone silent. Some battles are not fought with swords, but with spirits. And some victories are written in fire upon the fabric of a land. This is one of those stories. Kurmin Rami was not a place you'd find on most maps. Tucked into the hills of southern Zaria, it was a quiet farming village known for its red soil, thick baobab trees, and the laughter of children that echoed through narrow, dusty paths. The people were simple, the faith deep, and the traditions older than memory. But behind the calm eyes of the villagers, something darker lingered. They whispered of an ancient serpent, a creature said to dwell deep beneath the roots of the land. They called it Ikono, meaning the spirit that crawls. It was not a myth to them. For years, unexplained tremors shook the ground. Crops failed with no reason. Children were born and died before their first cry. And once a year, like clockwork, someone disappeared. Always at night. Always near the old grove behind the market. But the fear became unbearable the day the earth cracked open. It happened just after sunset. The sky was orange with dusk when the ground beneath the village square split with a thunderous groan. A scream tore through the air as a boy named Yusuf was swallowed before his mother's eyes. Dust, panic, prayers, but no one could help. And then they saw it. A slithering mass, dark as oil, as thick as a truck tire, moving beneath the soil, just visible before vanishing into the bush. The elders called an emergency gathering. Some cried. Some said it was judgment. But one name kept surfacing like a prophecy. Call Apostle Joshua Selman. A young man, Danjuma, who had once attended a koinonia service in Abuja, stood and said, "This is not a matter for the king or council. This is spiritual warfare, and I know the one whom God has anointed for such." They argued. They doubted. But the desperation was louder. 2 days later, a message was sent. It was late at night in Abuja. Apostle Joshua Selman had just concluded an intense 7-hour session with his ministry team. The presence of God was heavy, and many lay under the power of the Spirit. As he prepared to rest, his assistant handed him the letter. He read it once, then twice. Slowly, he placed the letter on the table and knelt. For 3 hours, he remained silent. Only one word passed his lips. Kurmin. That night, he didn't sleep. He prayed until dawn. The Lord showed him visions of a serpent coiled around the heart of the land, of a curse older than the village, of blood that had opened doors long forgotten. And he saw a date, the 14th of the month, in red. He whispered, "It will rise again, but it will be its last." 2 days later, Apostle Selman arrived in Kurmin Rami under a thick blanket of clouds. The village seemed to breathe a collective sigh as he stepped out of the SUV. He was dressed simply. No entourage, no cameras, no noise. Just a Bible and oil. He met with the elders under the mango tree. They told him of the children who no longer laughed, of livestock that birthed stillborns, of dreams filled with hissing, of a tree in the grove that bled sap like blood. And then they told him about the boy. Yusuf's mother, Amina, came forward. She knelt before the apostle, weeping. "I saw him go," she said. "One moment he was playing. The next, the ground took him." He lifted her gently. "God sees, and he has come with vengeance." That night, a vigil was held in the central square. The villagers gathered, eyes wide with fear and hope. Apostle Selman preached not from a pulpit, but from the ground beneath a kerosene lamp. He spoke of Moses and Pharaoh, of Daniel and the lions, of Jesus and the grave. But then his voice changed. He declared, "There are spirits that sit upon thrones in hidden places, unseen, unbothered. Until a man with fire comes, I declare to the rulers of the underworld, your time has expired." And the heavens cracked open. A sudden wind tore through the square. People screamed. Lightning flashed across the sky, though there was no rain. And then, the earth trembled. Again. Just as before. But this time, they were ready. The ground behind the market exploded with force. Dirt flew, trees bent, and from the depth rose the serpent. 30 feet long, glistening like wet coal, eyes burning like red coals. The villagers scattered, but Apostle Selman didn't move. He stood, arms lifted, oil dripping from his fingers. He began to pray, not loudly, not with frenzy, but with authority. In the name above all names, by the blood that speaks better things, I rebuke you, I uproot you, I declare your hold broken. The snake hissed, coiled, and lunged, but something invisible held it mid-air. It writhed as if battling an unseen force. Apostle Selman shouted, "Kurmin Rami, lift your voices! Praise is the sound that breaks chains!" And they did. From lips once sealed by fear came worship. Old women sang, young men shouted, children cried out, "Jesus!" And then it happened. A pillar of fire, yes, real fire, descended from the sky like a comet. It struck the ground where the snake stood. A blinding flash, a sound like 1,000 shofars. Silence. When the dust cleared, the serpent was gone. Only ash remained. The tree that bled, burnt to a stump. The air felt different, lighter, free. Apostle Selman stood quietly. Then he wept, not for fear, but because heaven had kissed earth. The next day, the news spread beyond the village. Videos taken by villagers went viral. People from Kaduna, Abuja, even Kenya began arriving to see the revival ground of Kurmin Rami. But Apostle Selman had already left. He refused interviews, no headlines, no glory. He simply wrote one sentence in his journal. The serpent is gone. The people are free. God alone is exalted. And Kurmin Rami, it became a symbol of what happens when darkness dares to challenge light, of what's possible when a man obeys God's voice, and of a God who still moves with power, even in forgotten places. So the next time you hear of a quiet man in a simple robe, carrying oil and fire, walking into unseen battles, remember Kurmin Rami, and know, the serpent never wins. If this story stirred something deep within you, if your heart burned as the fire of deliverance fell in Kurmin Rami, then don't let it stop here. Like this video if you believe God still moves in power. Comment below with your thoughts or testimonies. What did this story ignite in you? Subscribe and turn on notifications to receive more true and spiritually inspired stories that pierce the veil between the seen and unseen. And remember, when the enemy whispers fear, when darkness gathers at your door, speak boldly. The serpent never wins. Until next time, stay burning, stay yielded, stay watching. This is more than a story. This is a sign.